Hello my lovelies, welcome to my little cottage by the sea, the place where I love to stitch and craft my way to a vintage inspired and sustainable lifestyle. I've woken up this Saturday morning to a distinctly autumnal feel in the air, and I had the urge to get organising my wardrobe for the autumn winter season. You may have seen my video from a way back which was all about how I plan my sewing, and a few of you commented about the list of items that I want to make that I extract from my very deep research into my wardrobe. So in today's video I'm going to be getting this sort of preliminary organising done, just having a sort through of what's currently on my rail, what I remember I really enjoyed wearing last autumn and winter, what were the gaps and so on, and then I'm going to compile a list of items. I'm going to start to think about some sewing plans. On that list I also have things that I want to treasure hunt for, that I want to keep on the lookout for when I go charity shopping, thrifting, or when I am endlessly scrolling through eBay or Vinted. I always get very over enthusiastic and want to sew everything, but part of my new process is to really slow down with my sewing, to be really intentional, which means that there's a bit of room for some shopping in charity shops, not on the high street. I like to get ahead of the season, especially when it comes to all those little add-ons, things like hosiery and socks, lingerie and so on, accessories. One of my revelations from last year though is socks, and I've got to rootle tootle out all my pairs of socks. I think I only have about 3 or 4 and one knitted pair that I will show in an upcoming knitting video. But I have really ghost fluff, I have really been enjoying wearing socks. So part of my research today is to sort of start thinking about noting down, having a look online maybe at some socks that I can order and have ready for when the weather gets really cold. I've never really been a sock person, but I've loved socks and brogues this year, so I'm aiming to have some sock fun this autumn winter. So we're going to head over to my rail, which you can just see over there, and have a look at what it looks like at the moment. I'm going to start pulling out some things to pack away, some things that maybe can be styled up trans-seasonally, and start looking at where those gaps are and the things that I would like to make again or I need to make for the first time. So here we are at my rail, and I organised it so that the sort of the end of it here was full of these kind of lounging, comfy, wear at home dresses, some of which I've made, some of which are old buys from the high street when I did used to shop more on the high street. One of the things that I love and wear all the time, all the way through the year, is this denim jumpsuit, which is a Primark buy from about 8 years ago, maybe not so long, maybe longer, and it was just £5 on the sale rail. It had funny length sleeves. I took them up. I then copied this pattern and made a black version of this, which is here, which I also wear all the time. Now that I have a very floofy Turkish Angora cat though, black and the fight against the floof is really real, but I love both of these. And what I'm wondering is maybe I should make a long sleeve denim version to wear through the autumn and winter. I really think it would be worthwhile getting some really lovely denim to create a version, and maybe one with some kind of collar detail, maybe not this sort of standard collar shape, maybe a pie crust like ruffly detail, maybe puffy sleeves, something like that. So that is something that I really feel is worth dedicating time and a little bit of budget to for my autumn winter sewing plans list. The shepherd skirt that I made from Merchant Mills, which was inspired by my vintage utility concept, which is a concept that I'm going to carry forward into the autumn winter, and maybe that denim jumpsuit is sort of part of that. I feel like this skirt would look great in denim as well. I don't really have anything denim other than that jumpsuit in my wardrobe, so maybe this sort of vintage utility can be this sort of denim version of that. And I have a wonderful image in my sketchbook that I'm finding really inspiring. Not really denim, but it's sort of this 1930s vintage utility. It's part of the whole thing that inspired me. I have worn this skirt a couple of times every single week, and I purposely chose a fabric that I would be able to wear in the autumn and winter as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to think very carefully about how I style it. Doesn't really like staying on this hanger. I'm also wondering about maybe a print version of this. So then I'll have my circle skirts, which I love to wear, and this shepherd skirt that I also love to wear, which gives a slightly less formal look. I'm really thinking about some outfit ideas that I can put together for autumn winter that go along with this vintage utility theme that I have in my head. These three dresses are my most worn dresses this summer, and on very hot days I've worn this. This is just a Vampire's Wife bodice, and I've done a frill around the neck. It's quite a summery fabric really, but I think that if September's quite mild and quite sunshiny, just wearing this with a little roll neck turtleneck underneath is a way of extending the season, and you could put a little cardigan over the top. So I'm going to carry on wearing this into the coming season. Then this is probably one of my all-time favourite makes. This one, the Bella tea dress from Liberty London, which you will have seen over and over again, is probably one of my favourite makes. It never fails to make me feel wonderful, and I do have a bit of a bias to the 30s, late 30s, going into the 40s tea dresses, and then the way the 70s reinterpreted that through a more sort of sordid rock and roll lens via Bieber and Ozzy Clark. And I really think that it's probably worth drafting out another pattern, 30s inspired or based pattern, something very similar but not the same, in another fabric that will just give me another sort of version of this. I wear this one all the time throughout the whole year, so I think it's time to add another one of these to the wardrobe. The final one is the 1940s bondage dress, which is just a direct copy from a pattern packet, an illustration on a packet that I found on Pinterest, and I wear and wear and wear this all the time. Love this. This also makes me feel amazing, and I keep saying that I need to sew a autumn winter version of this. I do have one actually, really pretty white one with red burgundy berry colour flowers on it. As I go through my wardrobe, one of the other things that I'm looking at is what needs to be repaired before I put it away, cleaned, repaired and so on. This dress, which does actually need a bit of a pattern amendment here, I just hand sewed and it's coming apart a little bit, so I do need to repair that. Another thing I need to repair, and the reason why I haven't worn this really beautiful vintage dress, which is probably the most perfect dress for me, black 30s pink beaded bows on it, from France. Bought it from Sunless Antiques a couple of years ago. I haven't worn it purely because it needs some repairs. The little rouleau buttons need some replacing, and the hem's coming down a little bit. Really, there's no excuse. I should have done this by now, but that is also going to be repaired because I absolutely must wear this at some point this autumn winter. Something I haven't worn at all is my Junebug jacket. This is actually a PDF that I made for my patrons in June a couple of years ago, and I love it. It's based off of 1940s swing coats, and I just think it's wonderful. It's got all these fabulous details, this very big sort of faux trapunto, faux quilted cuff, and the details are on the collar as well. But I just don't reach for it, especially as one of my wardrobe gaps is actually jackets, and this would be perfect in the summer, a warm summer, to put on over something. But I think the two reasons why I'm not wearing it I chose a very lightweight fabric, which is a sort of a chambray, and it catches on everything. It's a bit teethy because of the cotton, the weave of it. So I kind of feel like it gets a bit stuck, if you sort of see what I mean. It's just not quite doing what I want it to do. And even though I absolutely adore this colour, this beautiful lilac colour, I just don't know that it goes with anything else that I've got. So it's a brilliant jacket and I absolutely love it, but it's probably a sort of workable toile, a first toile, and I really think it would be worthwhile making this up in another fabric, something suitable for autumn, and really think about the texture, because it's kind of reacting against what I'm wearing underneath, and just I always feel quite fidgety in it, uncomfortable, which is such a shame because I just really love the style of it, and it would really solve that problem that I don't have enough jackets to sort of keep me going through the autumn. And this actually would fit that vintage utility, especially if I did it in some kind of cream, maybe the same fabric as the shepherd skirt, and that would be a great outfit. I'll have to add this to the list and have a bit of a think about it. What are your thoughts? What do you think? It seems a real shame to not be wearing something that I worked so hard on with all of these details that took me quite a long time to do, and I had really wanted this garment in my wardrobe. So I probably need to do something about this one. Now I'm wearing my Lucille trousers. You can't see the bottom of them, but you may know if you're following along, keeping me company on Instagram, that I shortened both pairs of my Lucille trousers because I really wasn't wearing them. And just shortening them meant that I have been wearing them all the time. And I do really love these trousers. What I'm wondering is maybe I should do a pair in a lovely drapey denim to go with my vintage utility wardrobe, which is one of the themes. But I absolutely love these trousers, so I do need to make a longer pair, probably with the cuffs this time. Maybe that was one of the reasons why proportionally they looked a bit strange, so I need to have a look at them again. These are just absolute wardrobe classics, what I call wardrobe heroes. So I really do need to have a look at some fabric that would be suitable, whether it's denim. I don't know, that notion is in my head, but I don't know if it's a good notion, or some kind of nice wool blend, or a thick linen blend, a linen that would be suitable for autumn winter. Often I think of linen as being a very summery fabric, but actually those thicker linens are perfect for autumn winter, and they've got the requisite amount of drape for some trousers. I've got to do a little bit of research, but some Lucille's are going on my to be made list. I am looking forward to getting all my Vampire's Wife style dresses back out. They never fail to make me happy when I put them on. They're really, really easy to wear, and they can just be styled up in all sorts of ways. I tend to wear them for casual occasions, but then put some fancy shoes on and you're ready to go on a cocktail date with somebody handsome, or just some friends that you love. One of my favourite makes and most worn from the cooler months at the beginning of the year was this sort of impulse sew, what I call the Crazy Paisley Patchwork Dress, and I absolutely loved this. This was sort of inspired by Oh Pioneers, and I wore and wore and wore this ridiculously. I've washed it, just need to give it a press. I definitely think I can plunder my stash of Liberty prints and make up another version of this. One of my other themes is this sort of 70s Susie Glass from The Gentleman, tweedy English country house look. I definitely need a slightly better title for that, but that's one of my secondary themes for the autumn winter moving forward. I am also in the process of making this in a black with lace, and that then fits into my final theme as I'm working on my wardrobe and for Patreon and so on, which is the film Rebecca and the novel by Daphne du Maurier, which is one of my favourite novels of all time, and I love the film. And I've got this sort of gothic 30s, 40s idea in my head. I'm putting together some mood boards which I will share with you in upcoming videos. I've got these 3 themes running, and I've identified some favourite outfits, and hopefully that's going to mean that my sewing plans are really cohesive, intentional, and that will mean that I will wear everything that I take the time and spend precious budget on making. A couple of other things that I do need to work on and add to my wardrobe. Most definitely a waterproof coat. Now, I've been living in Hastings for about 14 years, and this is a conversation that I have been having with myself for all of those 14 years, so that really needs to happen. I've been looking at coats in Toast and Cos and Plumo because they do these sort of vintage utility style coats, and this is what I've put together as an initial idea. This is just some bits in my sketchbook. We've got the September coat by Merchant & Mills, and I found some fabric from Fabric Godmother, and it's a waterproof cotton coating. And then Merchant & Mills also do this little Audrey PDF, and I can't remember if this coat is from Cos, this jacket, but it's a similar concept. There's also one very similar from Plumo. So I'm just sort of pondering that at the moment. I feel like that September coat is a little bit straight, so I might need to do a tiny little bit of pattern hacking, but I will go and have a look at the coat when I'm next in Rye and see if I can try it on to see what I think. The Audrey hood is a PDF, so I think for £6.50 that's probably worth downloading and having a little go at. The last thing that I feel I am lacking in my wardrobe is some kind of pinafore or over dress. Now, I'm not really a pinafore dress person. I do often see versions of 1940s ones, and there are some great ones on my ultimate all-time icon, Hedy Lamarr, and I think this is probably a really good idea, maybe in some really lovely needle cord in beautiful colours, and then they can be worn over 1940s hand knits or some lovely blouses, long sleeve blouses. I'm going to have a little bit of a research to see what patterns are out there, but ultimately this is something that I'll probably make myself. In a previous sewing plans video, I had this idea of doing a sort of a ruffle A-line skirt and then having a bib that you could attach to it, and this is a bib that you could also attach to the Lucille trousers. I haven't committed to that idea, but maybe that's one to ponder and add to my list of to be made for autumn winter 2025. Can you believe we're already at 2025 nearly? Totally bonkers. So I am going to spend a couple of hours, now the sunshine's coming out here in Hastings, just sorting through my wardrobe, putting away the most summery things, although as soon as I do that it will be an absolute scorcher for the rest of the autumn. Oh well. I'm really pleased to have identified a few things that I need to repair so that I can actually wear them, because that is a really unsustainable thing to do, just have stuff that you never wear. I'm not really an advocate for if you haven't worn it for say a year then it should go. That's not really my cup of tea, ironically holding a cup of tea. But I do think that unless something's of really sentimental value or really cherished and you're not going to wear, you can just hang it on your wall and enjoy it in that way. But everything else I really feel needs to work in my wardrobe. Otherwise, it's taking up space for something else that I could be really getting a lot of pleasure from. So my sewing plans list for autumn winter is looking something like a denim version of the Merchant & Mills shepherd skirt and also the Lucille trousers, possibly something along those lines. An overdress of some kind that I can wear with all my hand knits and blouses, maybe in a needle cord. Definitely still need a jacket. Do I make the June bug in a more suitable fabric, or do I carry on thinking about some of those utility chore jackets that I've been highlighting in recent videos? Maybe both. I mean, a jacket's always really useful. The waterproof coat really needs to happen. And maybe 1 or 2 30s style dresses that are similar to the Bella T dress but different. And I probably will make at least another 2 or 3 Vampire's Wife style dresses. I hope you've enjoyed spending a little bit of time with me while I get my wardrobe organised, or start to at the very least, for the upcoming season. It's really lovely to be back here on YouTube. I took a slightly more extended break this August than I had intended, because on the very first day of my planned staycation I caught COVID, and boy did it wipe the floor with me. So I am much better now and really looking forward to my favourite time of year. As always, my lovelies, I hope you're keeping safe and well, and thank you so much for sharing this adventure with me. I shall see you soon. Till next time, bye.